Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the August 2023 Argo CD and Rollouts Community Meeting. I'm your host for today, Jesse Suen, Argo Project Maintainer. If you haven't already, please add yourself to the attendee list. And some reminders that the Argo project does adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct, so please be courteous and respectful to each other. This meeting is being recorded and will be updated to YouTube after. Okay, so for today's agenda, first off, we have some quick reminders about ArgoCon from Christian. And then after that, Nicholas will be covering some of the new features that are coming in Argo CD 2.8. And if you do have any agenda items or discussions, issues you'd like to add, you're welcome to add and comment on the Google Working Doc, and we probably can get to them after the presentations. Okay, with that, I'll hand it off to Christian to just talk a little bit about ArgoCon. Christian?
Yep, thank you. And for those of you who don't know me, Christian Hernandez, part of the Argo project marketing SIG and also co-chair of ArgoCon. And so just a kind of a quick reminder, it's coming up quick. ArgoCon CFP closes this Sunday. So this is probably like the last week that you can get your CFPs in. For those that are waiting for your KubeCon submissions to come through, they're going to come. They're going to send those out at the end of the month. So please don't wait. So for the KubeCon ones to come through, it's fine if you want to double submit to ArgoCon. For those of you who are submitting CFPs, just remember that if your talk is accepted, you will also get a pass to KubeCon. So that's a little bit of a change that some folks aren't aware of, that I've realized that no, you actually, if you get into ArgoCon, you actually get a free pass to KubeCon. So and for those who aren't submitting but are attending, make sure if you're attending KubeCon, make sure to add ArgoCon as an add-on. It's an all-access pass, so it's not just for ArgoCon. If you want to visit other co-located events there, you're free to do so. It's what they call an all-access pass. So going to be a lot of fun there. It's going to be 3 tracks this time instead of the normal 2. So there'll be 3 tracks, lots of opportunities for talks, lots of workshops. Going to be bigger than it was before. So for those that have attended before, it's going to be a little bigger. For those that you haven't, this is a good chance to come and attend and submit those CFPs.
All right. Thanks, Christian. Okay, so we'll get to the next meat of our program. Nick is going to cover what's new in Argo CD 2.8. Nicholas?
Great, thanks, Jesse. Let me just share my screen here. So there's an excellent blog post already out on the 2.8 release candidate. You can find that in the Google Doc, and I'll also paste it in the chat here. My main presentation here is going to be on the more demonable features of 2.8. So I'm going to start off with what's new in application sets, which the most prominent feature that got added is the addition of the plugin generator, which allows you to write custom generators in any language and run them either in a sidecar or as a standalone deployment. And this allows you to add generators for application sets without having to wait for them to get integrated into the core Argo CD project. So to demonstrate this today, I'm going to be using the application set hello plugin that's a part of the Argo project labs repositories. So to get into it, in Argo CD here, I've deployed an application which deploys this application set hello plugin, which is taking the standalone deployment approach, which is the recommended one over the sidecar option. And so what we have here is a simple script and a config map that runs a basic HTTP server in Python. It implements only one real path here, which is API v one get params.execute. And what this will do is return a list of object maps nested under the output.parameters key in the map. So the results of this generator are two instances of the hello parameter with different values. That config map script gets loaded into this deployment, which is accessible within the cluster, accessible from the application set controller within the cluster, and it uses a config map that gets deployed into the Argo CD namespace, or the same namespace that Argo CD is running in, and it provides the base URL, so where the application set controller can access this plugin generator, and then it provides a token, which in the config map, it's actually a reference to a separate secret in the Argo CD namespace, and then it references the key within that config map, which for reference is, I believe, this one. So it's referencing, it's actually this config map. And then the deployment here mounts this secret in, and if we just look back at the script here for a moment, it brings in that mounted secret token from the mounted secret into the script, and uses that to authenticate the application set controller to the plugin generator here. And so the idea is that you should implement a 403 response if the proper bearer token isn't provided when accessing the plugin generator. So with all of the kind of implementation details there described, let's go look at, let me move this out of the way. Let's go look at our application set. So the application set references that config map that had the base URL and the token in it as a part of the plugin generator here. So that's where it knows where to go make the API call to and what token to use to authenticate. And then this generator is populating the hello parameter that we can use in the application template here. So if I go back quickly here, we'll see that it'll be returning two instances of hello, one with world and one with again as the value, which if we go and sync our application set should result in two applications getting deployed. So the benefit here is that you can go write basically whatever generator you want in any language, deploy it into your cluster, and implement it as a part of an application set to generate applications based on essentially anything at this point, without requiring that code to make it into the core Argo CD project and wait the, generally few week wait time to actually get that implemented and then into a release that you can start using. So it's a big advantage of flexibility here. If I were to go and update this script to say, let's pass a third parameter here, it'll result in another application getting deployed or generated by the application set. So if I just go and do that, and we go back to our application set here and we refresh it, it results in a third application getting generated by that application set. So that's in my opinion, the biggest and most important feature to the application sets in this release. The next one is the ability to set sync policy controls at the application set level. So before, you could set at the application set controller level different sync policies for application sets to either create and update only, so not allowing application sets to delete the applications that it generates, or create and delete only, i.e. not allowing the application set controller to update the application set. The addition in 2.8 is that now you can set that sync policy on the application set itself. So if I go and I'll demonstrate it here on our application set with the plugin generator. Let's see, I need this. So if we add to our application set spec here, sync policy, application sync, and then we're going to tell it that our application set can only create and update the applications that are generated by it. It won't be able to delete any of them. And this is one of the more common pitfalls of application sets, is that you end up using a generator and then the data changes that's produced by that generator, and it results in your applications unexpectedly getting deleted. So this is kind of a safety mechanism around that, where you can force it to only create an update, but you're never going to accidentally delete an application with an application set by changing the data that's produced by the generators. So for example here, if I just undo what I did to the plugin generator script to result in only 2 applications getting generated by it. And let me just reset this.
Nick, I'm not sure this setting took. I saw something disappear from your.
Oh, maybe I've got. Yeah, let me go check.
The sync policy is like an empty struct.
Yeah, let me. I think I need to disable auto sync. No. Maybe I messed up my syntax. Sync policy. I need to do application sync and create. Let me just double check. I've got this right. See if it takes.
Yeah, this time it didn't disappear.
Cool. I'm guessing I had probably a spelling mistake, knowing me. So the idea here is that the application set has the sync policy create and update. So if I refresh my application set, it should not delete unless it didn't take.
Oh yeah, it disappeared again.
Okay.
So
my live demo is broken. Yeah. Let me go double check that I've got the syntax right here.
Do you have to patch the application set controller with something, or is this out of the box?
So
the default.
Yeah, you only have to patch the application set controller if you have the policy flag explicitly set on it. So you're not like using the default, is my understanding. Gotcha. And that's what worked earlier when I tested this.
I noticed there's a applications plural, like and then sync. I'm not sure. I don't recall if you used applications sync. That's this what I see in the example.
Yeah, I think that's what I broke. Yeah, applications sync. There we go. That looks better. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's a mistake of my documentation. Love that. All right. So it'll actually work this time, I promise. So the idea here is that it'll only be able to create an update. So if I just go quickly demonstrate it creating one, let's do 3. So we've updated our plugin generator to now produce 3 output parameters, which if I go back and we refresh the application set, it results in a 3rd one. If I go back and remove that 3rd parameter that gets returned by our application set plugin generator, it will not delete that 3rd application. So this prevents accidental pitfalls of I've changed the data that's produced by a generator. It won't delete my application unexpectedly. To show that it's actually working, let's say that it can now only create and delete. It can't update my my applications, and now it's already deleted that 3rd one because the application set controller refreshed. So this gives you flexibility on a per application set basis instead of at the application set controller level. So at the before 2.8, you could only set this at the Argo CD instance level. Now you can control it on a per application basis. Note that if you do have a policy explicitly set on your application set controller, you do have to add the enable policy override parameter so that you can set it on a per application set basis. So there are other updates to the application sets, including support for AWS code commit, and also the pull request generator now supports Azure DevOps and Bitbucket Cloud. And there have been other minor improvements to it. I do highly recommend reading through the blog post linked in the Google Doc, because it's going to go through more features than I am in the demo here. But we're going to move on to some UI-based improvements. So the first one here is, we might get some backlash. It's a bit of an anti-pattern, but you can now generate a job based on a cron job from the Argo CD UI. So I've got my Hello World cron job here, which should only run daily at 4 a.m., but I want to go do an ad hoc job. I can just go click create job, and it's going to go generate that job. Note that I don't know if this is going to be the final product after the 2.8 release, but I had to set up a cluster role to give the Argo CD service account access to create those jobs. So without these in place, you'll likely get an error saying that the service account doesn't have permission. So this is kind of a balance of like the source resource is managed through GitOps, is managed declaratively, but you have the option to go and generate jobs imperatively as needed.
Just to add, it's not necessarily like a cron job to job specific feature. The actions in Argo CD have been improved to support creation of like any resource as long as you define the Lua script to create that resources, and using the other one as an input to that. So cron job is like the best example of this feature.
Yeah, that's a good clarification, is that we've added a framework for you to be able to do this with essentially any resource. But the cron job is now built into the code base already, with future room to expand on that. And so the next UI improvement is around grouping of pods. So if we go to my Hello plugin example here, when you have a deployment that generates more than 15 pods now, it's automatically going to group them by health status. So if I go and update my replicas here to 20, we'll get a good look at that. So it's now bundled them into the replica set, and then it's grouping them based on the pod status. So you can see the healthy is slowly increasing as the pods progress from progressing to healthy. And then so you can click on the group of pods, and it'll list them all individually here. But if you have one that that's broken, you can go click into that as well, which I should be able to demonstrate here. If we go and we break our image tag here, and we wait for that to break itself, it'll show up as unhealthy as a separate group under here. Now, one thing, you can go and turn this off if you don't want it, by ungrouping the pods using this UI element here. And as a result, it also goes and groups all of the other resources of similar kind as well when you have this UI view on. So all the replica sets are being bundled here, but the replica set with pods is displayed separately, which personally I really love. I normally have like 20 replica sets here, and unless you go and set the maybe somebody can remind me what the parameter is to limit the number of replica sets that get hang around.
Revision history limit.
Yeah, the revision history limit. So if you're not the type to go and edit that on all of your deployments, or is that an Argo CD?
It's a deployment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's on the
spec.
deployment. Yeah. So essentially the update here is that things are grouped nicely to actually take advantage of the limited UI real estate. And in addition to that, there's now better tooltips on the pods. So if you go and you hover over the number of containers on a pod, that UI element, it's going to display the number that are ready and the total number of containers in the tooltip. And I think some of the other tooltips now have expanded information in them. And then if you actually go into a pod, the pod summary now displays the container states for all of the containers within that pod. So if they're running, if it's started, and if it's ready, which a better example of that might be the Argo CD server deployment, because I think that has 2 pods. No. Yeah, I don't have a great example with 2 pods ready, but the idea here is that you can see the container state directly from the pod summary. And there's one more feature I wanted to demonstrate, but it was broken when I tried to do it, so I don't have a demo ready for that. And there are a number of general improvements added as well. So one that you're probably not going to notice, but you might see the benefit of, is that we're enabling gzip for all UI assets and for Redis compression, and Redis compression by default to improve performance. There's added health checks for things like snapshot volumes, the ingest controller resources, and the external secrets cluster resources. And I think that's all of the substantial features that that I have prepared to demo.
Great. Yeah, thanks so much, Nick. That was great. Any questions about 2.8 or in general?
Hey, I have one thing. I was talking to Michael. This is Raymond Wong.
Mhm.
I was talking to Michael Crenshaw. Apparently, the new plugins are going to be the only way to do plugins.
You mean the config
sidecar?
management plugins?
Yeah.
V2?
So that might be like a breaking change for people. Might want to note that somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, it was actually supposed to be removed like 2 releases ago, if I'm not mistaken. We actually kept pushing it back because it wasn't full. There was some feature parity missing, and then I think we finally had one full release. I think it was 2.7 of full feature parity, and then so 2.8 was, I think, when we pulled the plug on the V1s. Yeah, we'll make sure that it's clear in the docs that V1 is getting removed.
Yeah, I had a Slack conversation on someone trying to migrate, and they seem to have quite a difficult time.
Is it lack of parity, or is it a actual still missing?
No, I don't think it's parody. I think it's just maybe their own setting up, maybe lack of documentation, perhaps. Yeah.
Is there a probably the answer is no, but is there like a migration document?
I think there is.
Is there? Okay.
Is that something you're facing right now in your organization, Raymond?
No, we migrated a long time ago, but in the CNCF chat, someone, Pablo Husey, kind of going back and forth on helping him.
Okay, be use if there's still something like that we missed in terms of parity, like
I don't
feel
think
like-
it's a parity problem.
Okay.
I think it's just like a setup problem.
okay, then I think I'm less worried. Well, we can try to help that user as much as we can.
They're resolved now, but I'm sure other people will hit that problem when they migrate.
Hmm.
Anyway, I have a call, so I have to drop off. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Or I can also let me check the agenda to see if any other topics were added while we're speaking. Nope, I don't see any other agenda topics. Okay, if no other items, then we'll call it a meeting. Thanks everyone for attending today's meeting, and we'll see you either in 2 weeks for the workflows meeting or another month for the CD and rollouts meeting. All right, bye everyone.